Good morning, everyone. So last night, right after I put my kids to bed, I just suddenly realized that it's been a minute. I asked my 10-year-old, one-on-one, like how things are really going. Usually I do this basically every day, like when even when I ask them how was school, especially when I pick them up from school, how is school, and the usual response is always fine, fine, fine. I know she says fine often because maybe especially if you notice I'm busy with her brother or her siblings, and probably thinks I wouldn't have time to pay attention and everything. So I like to push further, and whenever she's alone, I like to go to her room and ask her, anything special happened today? Is there anything you want to talk to me about? I just to get her to, confide and tell me some things. And I was really happy I did that last night because when I asked her, has anything been happening? Anything you want to talk to me about? And she was like, yeah, she thinks so. And I was like, okay, what is it? And she opened up to me that her brother has been behaving in a way that she didn't like in school. He's been behaving aggressively towards people, hitting other kids, and she was not happy about it, even though she had mentioned it a few times. But I didn't know that it was I thought school just resumed. There's been a lot of changes in my son's school, a lot of changes. When I mean a lot of changes, and it has been really stressful for me too. So I assume that after a while, when he settles into this new environment, over time it will get better. It's usually like this at the beginning of every new session. It's always really tough. We see new behaviors, new challenging behaviors, new things, meltdowns, but after a while it does get better. But for her to open up and tell me that last night, I knew I had to go and have the discussion with the school to find out what is going on, because I didn't get any information from them. And I always tell them I want to know if there's anything like this. I need to know. So today when I dropped them off at school, I went in to talk to one of his teachers, and the teacher was like, oh, because there's a meeting on Friday, he planned to have this discussion with me, blah blah blah. And at least I was able to hear from his side and how things have really been going, and I am really not happy about it. But I'm just really trying to wrap my head around it and see ways at which I can help him, and ways I can suggest that they also can support him in this period, because it's really challenging, especially for him, I know. But with everything in all, we've been going through a lot of stress, like I said earlier, especially with school. I have not been happy with the school administration for so many things. I'm not going to go into details right now, but I've been trying to find alternatives for my son's school. My kids, especially my daughter, I was even thinking about moving her to another school, but each time I know have been here before, trying to separate them and put them in different schools, and each time I start to think about it, something like this happens and makes me revisit or rethink that idea of separating them, because she is always my eyes and my ears in school. She tells me things firsthand, and I love that about my daughter. She doesn't joke with her brother and the issues going around. She tells me everything. She understands a lot about his conditions, and I feel like I don't think I want to separate them right now. I think she still he needs her, I need her there. But despite that, all of that, I can also be selfish, because I want her to have the best in education and the best life. If she chooses that she doesn't want to be in that school anymore, I have no choice but to find an alternative for her. But then that alternative also has to work for both of them, so that even if I'm moving them from that school, I'll be moving the two of them together, and it will be supportive. So it's been kind of a lot for me to think about lately. Just sharing this because I believe that there's so much. I learned a lesson. I always pick lessons from things that are happening, and I'm sharing because I know that people also find one or two things to pick from this. The main point of me sharing this actually is that even as us adults, sometimes you ask us and we have this default response that we say, how are you? And you just say, I'm fine. Or, especially sometimes we Muslims will say, oh, alhamdulillah, I'm doing okay, I can't complain. We get all those responses. But then sometimes we need a little extra push for that, a little bit, someone to just are you go a little bit deeper into asking those questions for us to really let out what is going on. I've experienced this with a few people lately, and I'm just sharing this. Sometimes just saying fine is not okay, it's not the response, it's not okay. Things are not fine. And with your kids also, it happens. So when you pick up your kids from school, or when anything happen, or your kids are away from you and they come back and you ask them, how was school today, how are things going today, and they say fine, let that fine sink a little bit while, and then come around and ask them specific questions like, anything special happened today? Anything you want to talk to me about? Is there anything I should know about? Is there something you're not comfortable with that's going on around you? Just give them the question, break it down in a way that yes, they can now analyze it and say, yeah, I think this thing happened, I wasn't comfortable with it. And you could get more from your children by having this kind of conversations. It made me also reminded me to pick up this habit again. Like I said, I used to do it daily before. These days it's been chaotic, there's been a lot going on, but I have to consciously remind myself to ask my kids, especially my 10-year-old, this specific question, so that I can get the best from her. And I hope that you all can get a lesson or two from whatever message that I have, because obviously I'm sharing because I believe we all learn from our experiences. So I hope you all have a wonderful day ahead. Bye bye.